Welcome to another OCD Recovery Instagram Live. Let me just plug this phone in so that it's charging, because normally what happens, if you don't charge them, and then it runs out right at the end of an Instagram Live, the whole thing gets lost and deleted, which I can accept, but it's very, very frustrating. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about anxiety symptoms, because I just put up a post yesterday talking all about anxiety symptoms, and there's loads of comments about all different symptoms people feel, things to do with tingling face, heart palpitations, gastroesophageal reflux disease, all variations of palpitations, trembling, hot and cold, shivering, blurred vision, aching joints, bowel movement changes. I'm just trying to think of all of them off the top of my head here. Skin problems, urticaria, hives, rashes, dry skin, dry mouth, waking up in the night, heart palpitations going off all differently. What other ones have we got? Cramping, stomach cramps, mimicking IBS, all these different thousands of symptoms, thousands and thousands of symptoms. And what I always say is leave them. And insomnia, as Wafford said there, insomnia, massive one. Sleep problems, hugely common with anxiety disorders and OCD. Now, what's the problem here with this is when we get a new one, we think, shit, I'm about to die. This is a massive cause for concern. I need to get straight down the A&E now. Well, that's first the problem, that call to action, that immediate call to action, which it does, where it says, right, you need to sort something out this second. That's the first thing. And then is, what if I don't know if it's a real threat? What if it is a real threat? What if I'm going to get in loads of trouble because of this? What if it's going to... This is a life and death scenario where everything is going to feel like a life and death scenario with OCD. That's the nature of it. So that's the next thing. Then the other part is the utter acceptance of even if it is real. That's what got me out of it. You know, if I hadn't really gone to that worst case scenario with so many of these damn things, I'd still be stuck in it. Because, you know, I only got to a point where I was lying in bed one night and the heart was trembling and I had all kinds of heart palpitations, from very slow, weak pulse, rapid pulse, really strong beats, feeling like a machine gun going off in my chest in the middle of the night, every bloody thing you can imagine. And I was going through cardiac forums and watching videos of, is this beat right, and then measuring my pulse and all this. And one day, you know, this was at the long end of so many bloody symptoms for so many years, that I got to a point and I was just like, that night, I just went, you know what, forget it. Because I can't live my life just constantly going on Google, constantly checking my symptoms. It's taking up all my time. It's too much energy. So I said to myself, right, I can really do not want that anymore. What's the worst that could happen? I'm dead anyway. Definitely dead in the future. That's a given. I know that's happening. I'm definitely gone. We live a lot longer than humans used to now. So we hold on to this controlled life. We're all safe in our houses and we think, we'll live to 95. Well, I could be dead in the next year. I've got no idea what's going to happen. I might take a taxi now and the taxi driver might crash. I might go for a walk down the street and a bus might hit me. Anything. So what it came down to was a real realization that the worst that could happen was what was going to happen to me anyway. What's going to happen to me anyway. And I can't be engaging in that fight anymore. It's taken up too much time. And I never died. And every day that went past, the symptoms moved and morphed and changed. And nothing... I haven't died yet. It told me I was going to die 10,000 bloody times, like my post said. But I haven't died yet. And the symptoms, they feel like a call for action. You think, how can this not be anxiety? This is so severe. This is so right. Like, how can this cause anxiety? This is something that feels so different to OCD. Like, how can my whole stomach be churning, and have constant diarrhea? How can my heart be beating so hard I can hardly take a breath and even walk down the street? How can my vision be so blurred that I feel twice as short-sighted as I already am? How come when I go out drinking and I have 3 or 4 drinks, and I used to drink lots, and then I would go out and I'd come home and I'd stand in the bathroom and I'd think, shit, I'm so dizzy, worse than when I used to have hangovers when I was young. And I thought, how on earth could I be so, these symptoms be so strong? And my whole body felt like it was changing, feel like it's breaking down. Hence why at the top of my pages, it says, you are not alone, you are not broken. Emphasis on the broken. It's so damn easy to think we're broken. So many symptoms. Then I had the worst back injury from lifting weights, damaged a disc, because the muscles were so tight around my neck, because I've been working on a laptop, as we all do, ridiculous hours, and damaged my neck. And then on top of that, the muscles were holding so tight, because OCD will do that, anxiety will do that. It will get in and activate those muscles. It doesn't matter how much massage you're having, and I was having a lot, because I thought, all right, I've got to get this under control. I'm going to go for a massage twice a week. I'm going to go to physio regularly. I'm going to do acupuncture. I did everything. But those muscles would still go like that, because the brain is turning those on. So it's not a case of, okay, I'll do more and more. I could be having massage, if I had massage 5 hours a day, it wouldn't make a difference. It would still do that. Okay? So it came to a point where I was like, hold on. My whole life is to avoid anxiety. Everything to avoid anxiety. Be it not drinking coffee, not drinking too much alcohol because of maybe get a bit more anxious, not going on this holiday because be out of a comfort zone and so on. And I thought, literally this. Fuck this. Forget it. I have to live my life. Even if I bloody die today, I have to live my life. Drinking coffee, drinking alcohol within reason, going on holidays, doing everything I want to do. Because otherwise it just consumes, and it's never bloody ending. It's going to do that all day long. And health anxiety is particularly sort of annoying and frustrating because of the very nature of what it does. What you say, you've got already a health concern. You might have GERD. And if you've got that and you're getting acid reflux because of the genetic difference you've got in your esophagus with how that muscles, the sphincter is closing there, how that's happening is obviously something. A lot of people with anxiety will never get it, but then others will. You'll have conditions that you've already got that then OCD is anxiety is then gonna make worse. You might have already bad skin, you might have psoriasis, you might get hives from time to time, might you suffer from allergies. Well, anxiety will make that worse. That's what it does. So it knows that it's just going to exasperate that. It's going to make that worse. So it's about learning to take one day at a time. That's the key to everything. Look at it and go, okay, wait, look, let's slow these things down. Because otherwise I used to just go straight into the doctors or go to A&E, call out an ambulance. I used to be very against calling out an ambulance because obviously with an ambulance, and especially harm-related OCD and responsibility, I used to think, well, if I'm taking this ambulance out, someone else might die. So only in very severe circumstances, which was pretty rare, probably only did it about 2 or 3 times. But I remember one time I thought my whole throat was closing up. I thought I'd had a terrible allergy. Now I get hay fever bad enough anyway, but when I had the really bad anxiety, it was beyond belief. My whole body was trembling. I felt like I couldn't get a breath. Felt like asthma. It was very strong. And one day I thought my whole throat was closing up. I got very scared. I called out an ambulance. And then I went to hospital. And they looked in my throat and they were giving me steroids and everything. And because they were believing what I was saying, this often happens with doctors. If you go into a doctor and you're terrified, unless they're really on the back foot and calming it down, your situation, they can often feed into all the symptoms you're telling them and then start panicking. So I was doing that. And then I got to a point where I was like, I can't live like this anymore. I can't be going to doctors all the time and all this stuff. It was just completely out of control. And it's on some level, not on some level, on a real level, we know on some level, shit, I think this is probably, could be anxiety, or we're not aware at all. And it's about sort of grounding ourselves, pulling ourselves back down, getting ourselves back into a position where we are stable with things and we can see things for what they are, and just slowing down that whole process of jumping from 0 to 100 instantly, which is what I was doing all the time. And as I started to get more of a balance, that changed. Now let me have a look and see if there's any specific questions here. This is only going to be a quick Instagram live today. Why does my anxiety tell me to do things? Because anxiety is always looking for a sudden call to action. It wants to tell you, act now. That's what it wants to do. Override everything. If it didn't override, then there wouldn't be an issue because we'd be just carrying along our day as usual. But it wants us to override everything like that, to make itself top of the stack of priorities of jobs. Let's have a look. Wafrid is an amazing person for bringing OCD for the ride. In India, where OCD treatment is terribly poor, and he's doing triathlons, and he's got dystonia, another very, very difficult disorder to live with, a disease to live with, where all his muscles contract constantly. First I thought I'll get schizophrenia, then I'll get multiple personalities, then I'll get some rare disease. Absolutely, the most common ones. It's going to move all around that because we know the devil, the devil we know, which is OCD, we get comfortable with. I'm not so scared of OCD. Or you may be scared of OCD. You might have just been diagnosed. This is the worst thing to get. What if I never get better, and so on. But if when we know OCD, we're often looking for others. We're looking for, what if I've got schizophrenia? What if I've got multiple personality disorder? What if I've got something worse? Because then if I've got something worse, I'm going to be, this could be horrendous. I don't want that. And so it's about showing you that it's not horrendous, that we could actually stand it. We could get comfortable with it. And we can learn to accept it, as people do with those disorders. And that brings the anxiety response down. We have many ways of doing that. Schizophrenia and multiple personality disorder, ones that I had as well. Hugely common OCD fears that we definitely get into the core of. Let's have a look. What do you mean, do it anyways? Do it anyways means live your life how you would if you didn't have OCD and anxiety. Go out there and live it. Don't wait for anxiety to subside, no matter how much that anxiety is causing trouble. Do not wait for that. Go out and live your life, because it's going to be going at you all the time like that. That's the nature of it. Okay? Now, that's not easy to do, don't get me wrong. It's not, if someone who's housebound with agoraphobia is not going to just, I've listened to your Instagram live, Rob, just went out the door. I'm obviously aware that's not the case. What I'm saying is try your best to build up so that you're doing more and more and more on living on your terms, not OCD's, because it wants to drive the bus. It wants to take over and control the direction you're going. You want to be going in the direction that you want to go in. So as Wafrid says, so if your OCD and anxiety is keeping you from doing things, accept it and do it anyways. Are you fully free from your symptoms and OCD today? Yes, that does not mean that because I'm predispositioned, if I'm sure you cracked open all of our heads with future technology and looked at what's going on in the brain, you would see that we all have some genetic predisposition, I would imagine. A lot of people will say it's environmental. I would say there was a genetic turned on by environmental, but I don't have the knowledge of that. Nobody does until we see more into the future about that. So I'm predispositioned, which doesn't mean I don't get anxious symptoms. As the great pioneer of anxiety, Claire Weeks once said, she said she sometimes gets panic attack sensations in the night, but she doesn't give a damn that she has them. And that's the big difference, because when she had them, then they settle, because the sensitized nerves settle. And that's the key. It's not never feeling anxious. I could go into a situation which has got a memory from the very far past where I was anxious once there before and feel that sensation, but I don't care about it. There's very little effect on my life, as opposed to my life before, where every minute was severe life and death, like I was about to go before a jury for murder. Felt like that all day long and constant rumination, 24/7, all the time going round to get myself off the hook, chasing a downhill spiral which was a dead end. False memories, exactly there, Rianne, is what I'm talking about here and what I suffered from. False memories were that. That is exactly what happened in that false memory cycle where I was, this is not OCD, this is real, this is absolutely real, this needs urgent attention. How can I get private sessions with you? If you direct message me or email me at info@ocdrecovery.com, I will send you across email and all information about one-to-one and group sessions. Is it possible to have OCD with little minimal anxiety but compulsion still? Absolutely. OCD doesn't mean you have to be feeling anxious. It means that you can have a fear and be in an obsessive compulsive cycle. You don't have to be anxious at that moment. Because when we do the thing, it set the compulsion or rumination, it settles the anxiety down. So we might not feel the anxiety right then. And then we can get anxious of why I don't feel anxious. Why am I not anxious? Then that becomes a fear. Why am I not anxious? Then I am the kind of person to do this. Then I am a sociopath. Then I am ... or I'm not like other people, and trying to disprove everything that you read. That's the common one, where we're trying to make ourselves different to others, to make ourselves the exception to the rule, which it's always trying to do. Let's have a look. Okay, fine. I think that's about everything I'm going to cover today. I'm going to be doing a lot more Instagram lives. Some of them will be shorter, just so that I can get more and more in. I hope you enjoyed that today, guys. And I'll be back up here in the next couple of days. See you later.